executive committee members, if they wanted to add anything. And moving on, Social Equity Committee, Commissioner Yee Baker is not here, and neither is Justice Review Committee, Commissioner Herter. We'll move on to reports from officers, report from Treasurer.
There's no report right now.
Is there a report from the Vice Chair?
No report.
I don't have any additional information to report. Aside that, I met with Dr. Scott Lipton and myself with Supervisor Ellenberg, as well as Supervisor Samidian's offices, sharing, encouraging them to host a screening of the Silicon Valley Pain Index. We didn't get a formal commitment, but it was good that we were able to at least meet with them. There are other meetings with supervisors taking place in the future. Next, moving on to item 7. Oh, yes, Commissioner Chaikin.
Was the first screening, was there a screening that was scheduled that was canceled?
Yes, that's correct. There was a screening initially. We had scheduled in July. However, we moved it to August.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Okay. Moving on, item 7, I will pass the gavel to our treasurer, Commissioner Warren.
Thank you so much, Chair Martinez. I want to point out that item 7, which is discuss Senate Bill 43 relating to behavioral health and make recommendations, if any, has been on the agenda for a couple of months. This bill, which is currently being debated and amended in the state Senate, will modify the definition of gravely disabled. That modification of the term gravely disabled will allow the state, and by then affect various parties in the state, to institutionalize individuals a little bit more openly. So there's more access to institutionalization. There's quite a bit, I think, of positive reasons why the bill has been put forward. And I think there's a number of human rights concerns that we as a commission really should consider and potentially maybe make a recommendation to the board to take a position on SB 43. SB 43 would loosen the legal standard required to force a person into involuntary hospitalization and conservatorship. And it does, like I said, by changing the definition of the term grave disability to include additional reasons for involuntary holds and conservatorship, including, and this is the first time, a severe substance use disorder. And that is, I think, the key part that we might want to consider as far as a human rights concern. Is there a possibility of opening up the supplemental item Human Rights Watch's opposition to SB 43? Is it possible to open that document up on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. There is a letter from the Human Rights Watch to Assemblymember Holden to indicate some of the reasons why this could be a violation of human rights, including the fact that involuntary treatment is not effective, that involuntary treatment could violate human rights. And I think when we look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, we can potentially see some of those violations. And then, of course, that there's due process concerns. And personally, this is my biggest concern, the issues around due process and putting people into detaining them against their will, I think, is a big concern of mine. And there is a clear effect on those individuals in an unhoused and BIPOC communities. Those are the two areas I think that there's going to be a big concern. At least at Human Rights Watch have identified that, and I believe that too. So I'm curious as to my colleagues what we think is the right discussion point on this. If it's a matter of us maybe if we all agree today that this bill potentially violates human rights and we should be concerned about that, certainly we can write a letter to the board now to indicate that. If we believe that future study might be necessary, then maybe we host a public forum in the next month. I think there's some urgency here because the bill has been amended multiple times in the Senate, which means there could be a vote from the Senate at any point. And of course, as we know, we need about a month or 45 days to get something on the board's agenda. So that's something to consider. Or we could ask one of the committees, Justice Review Committee, Social Equity Committee, or even the Executive Committee to make the decision on behalf of the Commission. So those are the recommendation I see, but I want to open it up to, of course, discussion from my colleagues to see what you all think about this.
Yes.
I guess further understanding and study is necessary. Sorry.
Please raise your hand and.
I'm going to turn it back to the chair.
Yeah. Let him go first.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yes. Thank you very much about explaining about SB 43 bill. Looks like we are the Human Rights Commission, and we always focus human rights. And this bill looks to me is the violated 0 to 10 degree and highest level human rights violated, number one. Number two, I would like to request fellow commissioner in Justice Review Committee or Executive Committee discuss about the bill, and after we can bring this matter in the commission meeting, and after all the commissioner agree, and we can set up the public hearing, making the more appropriate human rights ethics. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Donnie, did you have a?
No, because I haven't done my due diligence of reading about the bill. I don't know about other commissioners. I would like more time to know about the bill, details about the bill. So either we take time as commissioners to review and understand what the bill is, propose more, the legal team or the legal counsel, if they have any insights or conclusion for us, and only then decide what the commission can do or cannot do. Does legal counsel has any suggestions?
Thank you, Commissioner Donnie. I have Commissioner Chaikin and then Commissioner Vice Chair Franzen. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I agree with both commissioners and what they said to recommend, having a little bit more of a dive into it, because I find useful when I see some legislation issues that come up. I go to the California government site, government site, and pull up the latest analysis of the bill, and I find it very, very useful. And SB 43 it looks like it was amended as late as September 8th. So there's some very useful information on, the points that you mentioned, Vice Chair Boren, and opposition and support. So I could see that there's some issues on both sides. So I support the commissioners and what Commissioner Pathak had said about, let's dive into it a little bit more, and then we can make the appropriate recommendation. It may be a human rights violation, but I'm not certain at this point.
Yep.
Vice Chair Franzen.
Yeah, I think one of the great problems we have in society is that people with power sit in positions where they make designations on other people, and they don't talk to the people who are actually affected by the positions that are taken. I work with a lot of people who have schizophrenia. I work with a lot of people who have mental illnesses. I work with a lot of homeless people. That's my job. That's what I do. I find this bill offensive I find it going after the most vulnerable people in our society and putting them in a place where they are told they can no longer make decisions for themselves. I'll tell you, I had a person come to church last Sunday, a person that has come to my congregation for maybe 20 years, long before I ever got there. And he is schizophrenic. He talks about his schizophrenia. He knows what's going on around him. He knows when he's got delusions. He knows, he can kind of navigate between the two. He has moments that he is not in control, and he knows he's not in control, and he seeks help. We get images online of people who are out of control and can't come back. That is not the norm, that is the extreme. And yeah, there are situations like that. But SB 43 goes and treats everybody as if they're in the extreme, not as if they are in positions where they can be worked with. This is a very scary bill. It's a bill that is built upon the fear that people have towards people who have mental illness, people who are in poverty, people who don't fit the quote-unquote norm. And I personally think that I agree with my colleagues that this needs to be done deeper, and maybe that's something that can be done within the Justice Review, and maybe have a public forum to more flush this out.
Yes, I agree. I believe that this is a shortcut because we are not offering the services that we probably should offer our community. And I can see this, as was mentioned, that this is a disadvantage and a disservice against those who are at their weakest. And again, I feel that there should be more research done. But again, I will say that I believe this is a shortcut for those who, as mentioned, are in power and not adequately supporting our community properly for those who are in need.
Yes.
I wanted to point out, and to my colleague's point, I mean, the state, the state's obligation, one of the most important obligation the state has to the citizens is when there is the removal of someone's freedom, right? And if that means institutionalization, if it means prison, if it means otherwise, I think that's a really critical moment where we notice human rights violations. And this is what concerns me about the bill. It may not be in what the bill says. It's more about the practical use of the bill. How is the bill going to be used? And I'm concerned, quite frankly, with some local politicians who might be using this bill as a supplement to or to supplant good resources, good resources for those folks in our community who are unhoused. And that concerns me the greatest. To the point of what we do as a commission, I'm a little worried for us to spend another 2 or 3 meetings to discuss this, because the bill could pass at any moment, or it could fail at any moment, right? Because it is currently in the Senate. I don't know the status. I don't know what the political will is of the Senate to move the bill forward, to vote on it, or otherwise. It has been amended. September 8th was the last amendment, so it's still a very active bill. I don't know if this means we need to host a public forum in the next 30 days to get an opinion, to get our opinion on the matter. If that's something that maybe is the will of the commission, maybe we consider that and have the executive committee schedule a public forum. So, yeah, I think.
Yes, Commissioner Saigal.
Yes, it's pretty interesting. Most of this is pretty generalized, I see. There's no specifics that we see in here. That's one of the items. Secondly, we want to see, what's the budget, because if you follow the money, it's cheaper for them to bring everybody in and say, okay, here you are, you're in here. Or, they want to spend more money to see what actually the problems is and try to diagnose them and put them in some sort of a care facility where they can get better or take care of those things. So it's like get everybody and put them in. So I don't think that's fair. So what everybody is saying is, I agree with that we need to read more into that and see what the specifics are, to see what it's all about, and does appear to me as a human rights violation in here. Thank you.
Yes, Rita, Commissioner Rita.
So every bill has pros and cons, and it's hard to make a decision, I work with autistic kids, people with differing abilities, and I do understand this bill is not for the marginalized. At the same time, I do want to be fair, and I think what we should do is we should hold a forum so we could amplify the voices of everybody and listen to everybody, and then the decision will be at the desk of the governor. So we have to wait for that.
Okay, I'm hearing, comment from our county council.
If I may, through the chair, thank you.
Yes.
Mary Hannah Weir, Deputy County Counsel. Just to give you a sense of where we are in the legislative session, so you all can have that context as you're thinking about it. As you may be aware, California has a 2-year legislative session, but most bills are dealt with in each individual year. Today is the last day for bills to be heard in their houses of origin. For amendments, it's a little bit more complicated than that, and legislative days also are not actually days. So, the day keeps going until the day is done, whenever the legislature decides that day is done. So I think we understand and expect, although I'm not tracking this bill myself super closely, that it will pass in this legislative session and be in the governor's desk in a few days. Is most likely the case, although not necessarily. And to Commissioner Boren's point, there's certainly space for the commission to also think about, if it does pass and it is signed into law, what the effects there are of. So it doesn't mean that the commission doesn't have yet a role here, but just wanted to give you that clarity that most likely, whether this bill passes or not, is signed or vetoed or not, will be decided within the next 30 days.
Yes, Commissioner Chaikin.
Ask a question to the Deputy Counsel? Yes. So as I understand it, so are you saying that this bill is in its final form and that's ready to be given to the governor, or is it still going through the amendment process?
My understanding is that it's been ordered to its 3rd reading in the Senate, which I believe is the last stage before it would go to the governor. I think the Assembly would have to concur in the amendments, but that's usually a pretty quick process. The 3rd reading is theoretically today, but is today like today's calendar day, or,
Okay.
sometime tomorrow or thereafter? I'm not sure.
I was just under the impression, I may be wrong, that it had to be, these bills had to be, for this session, be to the governor, be already to the governor's desk, in the last few days, but I may be wrong on that.
So
We are close to the end of that time, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I can make a motion. I would make a motion to send this to the Justice Review Committee.
And add a public hearing?
Well, let the Justice Review Committee
Decide
make that decision, yeah.
Okay. I would request you to add that, because Justice Review Committee along with the public hearing would make more sense, so that we can hear what the voice of the community is and make a wise decision, or make an appropriate viewpoint of what the commission can do or cannot do.
Before it's seconded, can I
Yes.
get a point of clarification? Was that a motion to table to the Justice Review Committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Before,
So what I think that's good advice to the Justice Review Committee, but my motion, and I think I would hold that just to have it moved to the Justice Review Committee to make the choice of whether, because timing is everything, like our next agenda item, that's already past the point of us making any real recommendation on. So I think the Justice Review Committee would be best to hold that, look at it, see if anything can be done, or if we can put together a public hearing, because we can say if we make that right now of a public hearing, then we'll have a public hearing on something that's already been decided that we can't really have any impact on. So I think right now, just review it to the Justice
And
Review
let
committee,
them
they
take
can
over.
make the decisions on how to move forward with it.
So we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion? Was there a discussion, Commissioner Patak?
Brian, you are absolutely right to review, discuss in a justice review committee. But if we look last year until today, we don't have any meeting justice review committee. So it is really hard to dialogue about this issue in Justice Review Committee. Now I would like to request my fellow commissioner, please discuss this matter in executive committee meeting. Because executive committee meeting every month, every twice a month get together regularly. And all the subcommittee chairperson attending. And at that time, executive committee, the review and all kind of the different angle, right, left, bottom, top, and we can sell.
Okay, so there is a motion, so we're going to vote on this motion that's been seconded. So, and keep in mind, we're having elections and appointments at the end of this agenda, so keep that in mind. So there will be meetings moving
Committee
forward.
will change.
And
Yes.
real quick to Commissioner Patak's point, since the chair of the Justice Review Committee is on the executive committee, I think we can certainly talk about it in executive committee as well, right? Because I think both.
Yes.
There's a place for both.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion, do we have to do a roll call vote?
You need to take public comment.
Oh, sorry. Public comment on SB 43. Thank you for the reminder.
Is there anything here?
I don't have any item for item 7, any agenda item 7. I only have 8. Any other public comment for item 7? Okay. Now we can. Can you repeat your motion?
Brian,
Brian,
can you repeat your motion, please?
repeat your.
To refer this to the Justice Review Committee.
So all those in favor, are you doing roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Boren,
Yes.
Commissioner Castaneda, absent, abstained?
Abstention.
Okay. Commissioner Chaikin,
Yes.
Commissioner Danny,
Yes.
Commissioner Day,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Franzen,
Yes.
Commissioner Leedy,
Yes.
Chairperson Martinez,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Popik,
Yes.
Commissioner Saigal. The motion passes.
Okay, now we move on. Thank you, everyone. To agenda item number 8. I will pass the gavel to Treasurer Commissioner Boren.
No, thanks. So on agenda item 8, I'd like to, if it's okay, just to editorialize one thing, and that is, this has been on the agenda for quite a few months, and I think it just goes to two things I want to point out. As a reminder that when we can't hold a meeting, it becomes very difficult, right, for us to have conversations about relevant things. And that is, we've had a few meetings canceled for lack of quorum, and I don't know if that's necessarily all of our fault. Of course, there's seats open on the commission. So first, I encourage you to reach out to your supervisors to fill the open seats. And then secondly, as a reminder that we really do have to have these meetings, right, so that these items are relevant when they come to be. Item 8 is about State Bill 403, which has been passed by the legislature. It is on the governor's desk right now for signature, and I checked a little while ago. He hasn't signed it yet. Right. And I believe he has until the end of I think.
The 23rd or
28th?
The 23rd.
The 23rd, that's
He
right.
has
the
12
23rd.
days from when he received it.
That's right,
which was
12 days.
The 11th.
So, and let me just read to you from the handout that was given to us as to what SB 403 is. It's also important to note that this has been an ongoing point of our conversation of our commission, right? So SB 43 adds to a prohibition on discrimination on the basis of ancestry. It defines ancestry for purposes as including but not limited to lineal, descent, heritage, parentage, caste, or any inherited social status, and states that nothing precludes a person from alleging discrimination on the basis of ancestry in combination with discrimination based upon protected characteristics. It defines caste for purposes of 1 through 5 above as an individual's perceived position in a system of social stratification on the basis of inherited status. A system of social stratification on the basis of inherited status may be characterized by factors that may include, but are not limited to, the inability or restricted ability to alter inherited status, socially enforced restrictions on marriage, private and public segregation and discrimination, and social exclusion on the basis of perceived status. And then there's a variety of additional other provisions. Those are the two provisions that I think are relevant to our conversation tonight. Now, as to what we can do as the commission, I think we're quite limited. And here's my take, and so I just wanted to present this to my colleagues. We, as a commission, don't have the authority to take a position on something, right, of course. We work through the Board of Supervisors. So we could, of course, make a recommendation to the board to take a position on SB 403, which the board has not done yet. Certainly we can do that. However, the governor will sign or not this bill by September 23rd. The next board meeting is...
The board meets on September 19th, but that agenda is already published and set.
Right.
The next meeting thereafter is October 3rd.
October 3rd. So anything that we make, any recommendation we make to the board wouldn't be germane to their conversation because the bill will either be passed or signed by the governor or not by October 3rd. So I believe at this point it's probably wise for us to consider this an informational item and take up further what our next step is. So that's where I think, given that this has been on our agenda for a number of months, right? So there's my thinking. I open it up. I'll actually turn it back to the chair to open up for conversation here.
Yes, Commissioner Chaikin.
I'm just curious, based on what you said, Vice Chair Boren. So how did it come then to be on the agenda? If there's nothing, so that's, I mean, I think you mentioned a very valid point, and it's a very contentious issue, as you know, in our county and what we've done. So I'm just curious, is there something that has been requested of us to address at this point? In other words, is there been a request for us to say that we're against the signing of this bill or for the signing of the bill? Is that what's on the table?
Can I answer? Thank you, Commissioner Chaikin. No, there's no request.
Okay.
So the bill was put on this item was put on the agenda in the executive committee as a follow-up to our prior conversations regarding caste discrimination.
Okay.
It was not. There's no request. So this is the state follow-up, right? And I know there's been requests from commissioners to continue the conversation, of course, but there's no direction. In fact, that's why I think the item is pretty general, right? It says to make recommendations, if any, and noting that this has been on the agenda since May. Is that right? May?
Yes, we wanted to follow through with this, being that it had been on the previous agenda. We weren't going to just not address it and saying like, hey, we had, so we wanted to see this through and saying here, it's as an update. Hey, being that it was previously on our agenda, this is where it's at. Our county didn't take a position, so it's more of an informational at this point.
Because to your, just as a follow-up, I'm glad that you did put it on the agenda, because what I've noticed from reading, the comments section that we have is that from the time this first hit our commission a couple of years ago, and what was requested at that time, which I thought was very discriminatory towards one particular faith, and you see the evolution of this bill to where it is now is like night and day. So I'm amazed that the Senate and the House they really knocked their heads with this, and they evolved, and it came out. I think there's some issues we can discuss, but I'm just saying I'm actually very surprised of what the evolution of this to get it more to take into account people's concerns. And whereas before, at the beginning, there was no understanding of what other people's concerns would be. So I think it's some really interesting work.
Commissioner Donnie?
I'm just making sure that I understand. It was on the agenda for the executive committee because I did not see.
No, on our agenda, on the commission's agenda.
Okay, because this is for the first time that we are discussing this as a commission, not even discussing because at
Because
this point,
the meetings were
also-
canceled
Exactly.
due to quorum. Yeah, but they had been previously on the
And
agenda.
at this point, because like we know, it's on the governor's desk, and we have community members here, we are going to listen to them, and based upon that, the commission is going to do anything? Is that, or just in the listening mode? What are your thoughts about it?
It's already on the governor's desk. We cannot take any action. It's informational.
Informational,
So
okay.
Yeah.
So,
Commissioner, Vice Chair Franzen, then I'll.
I mean, technically, we could take action.
I was going to.
But the action wouldn't have any
Impact.
Right. So this becomes an informational item because anything that we would do at this point would be moot. At the end of every meeting, and this is how this gets in is at the end of every meeting, we have the opportunity for commissioners to say, we want to talk about this at our next meeting. And so this was raised earlier in the year by one of our commissioners to have a discussion later on. And so when a commissioner raises that at the end of the meeting, when we have that open, are there things that need to be looked at, the chair of the commission can come back and say, okay, yes, this is something that needs to be on the agenda. And it was something that was brought up and has been brought up multiple times by other commissioners. So that's how this gets on the docket. It just so happens that unlike 43, that is still in the deliberative process, this has already made it through the deliberative process. So at this point, there's really not an action that our commission can take, if that makes sense.
Thank you for clarifying. Commissioner Patak, then.
Yes. For my viewpoint, this SB 403 bill is a very most important bill in residents of County of Santa Clara and State of California. I would like, number one, I would like to know, State of California, we have I believe 39 counties. And 39 counties, they have the Human Rights Commission, each county. And I would like to know, this bill is all the 37 county Human Rights Commission, they are going to discuss, because right now is a governor desk time frame is a very danger, 90 days, almost close the 90 days, 30 days to 90 days closing. So now time is very most important for our commission. And in the past, one assembly bill, caste discrimination, we set up the public input, all the things, and I believe until midnight or 2 o'clock, we review that all kind of the things. And the time is very most important. So now I would like to request my fellow commissioner, just think about positive and negative both sides, and making the wise recommendation to the Board of Supervisor. Thank you.
Commissioner Donnie?
So we can use this session as informational and educational for all of us, I believe. And after we hear comments, we can then come to some consensus.
Yes, Treasurer Bourne.
Yeah, I misspoke. It was been on since the July meeting, is what I just checked. I think, much like in the discussion we just had on item 7, so Senate Bill 43, our role is to listen to the community. I think that's a really critical role, and that's why we had a 6.5-hour long public forum the last time that we discussed this. We have members of the community here today, and I think it's important that their voice be heard regardless, right? And so, when we do have these discussion points, even if we're not taking action today, I think it's important for us to reflect on what the voice of the community is so that we can, prioritize future action, whatever that might be. It's always important. And, you can see the 38 public comments that were submitted on the agenda from varying ranges of perspectives. I think this is really important, and this discourse is really critical to our society. So, even though we may not be able to take action today, of course, I think that we certainly can hear from
as an individual or as a commission, we can take some action, whether after hearing from the community, writing to the governor about his decision. It's still pending, so we can certainly make some difference after hearing from the community. That's what I feel, and that's what I would urge to all the commissioners here.
Yeah, and as a clarification to that is true. We can't, as a commission, of course, as individual commissioners, use our title in making those notes, right? We can, of course, as a private citizen, can do that. We can't as a commission, of course, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, turn it back over to the
Commissioner Saigal?
Yeah, as you know, it's been about a couple of years. We went over the caste system, and we had a lot of discussion. I was saying where the midnight until about 1, 2 o'clock, we had the discussion, pros, cons. We heard all of that. Then after that, the commission did take some action, and we sent to the Board of Supervisors. And then after that, it's gone to the legislature later, where that's where we're at. So at this point in time, it's an informational item for us. Of course, the public is here; they can say what they like to see, and we can hear the comments and see what or take our observations. But there's really no action that us as a board can take, because we already took the action what we had. And it's not an open item that for discussion or on the agenda that we have at this time. Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Day.
Yeah, I just want to add that actually it passed the Assembly and it passed the Senate, and there have been groups that have actually gone to Sacramento last Saturday, I think, or Saturday before, and they were also heard. So everybody did get to speak their mind, and now I think it just depends on the governor whether he's going to pass it or veto it. I think as a commission, we did our best for the forum. We listened to everybody till 1 a.m. at night, and we sent our report, whether it was for the good or the bad, whatever it was. It never, the Board of Supervisors, of course, didn't accept our report, but it's okay. Now it's gone to, so we have tried to actually listen to all the voices, the pros and the cons, and we made a report according to that. And I think now that it's gone to the governor's desk, I think it's really made some headway, and let's see what happens.
Okay, next I'd like to, if appropriate, move to the public comment. We do have a handful, quite a bit here, and I want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak. So we're allotting 1 minute for folks, so I will call on everyone's name, and please come up. So the first 3 are, and pardon me if I mispronounce your names, Govind Tatachari, Padmaja Kona, and Sandeep Apnap.
To the right.
right there, right to that. Doesn't the podium,
That one's better, isn't it?
Yes. Okay, I'll try.
Is it on here?
we can't, the mic's not on yet.
I don't think it's.
The mic's in the podium, isn't it?
Mike's in.
Hello?
Did we say 1 minute?
It is.
Kelly, did we say 1 minute?
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. I didn't get an opportunity to come last time. This particular bill has been a deer in our headlights kind of stuff. We woke up very late. We had difficulty adjusting to the bill. I just want to say 1 minute is too short of time for us to understand a millennia and a half of the aggression that our land went through. And because of that, I immigrated here as an economic migrant, expecting that I would have the privilege to be able to enjoy equal rights. But that is being denied to us. We are being profiled, we are being stigmatized, we are going to be dragged through the street for any small action that may appear, not necessarily has happened. And it is that particular fear that is what is causing us to oppose this particular bill. Because this bill, on the surface, it looks very nice, but it is not.
Just a note for anybody who speaks, the lectern there has a Omni mic that if you speak straight in the middle of that, it's going to pick up your voice better than if you're trying to go off to the side or find it. That whole black thing on the top is going to get your voice. So we'll hear you better if you stand in the middle of that. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
No, in the middle.
In the middle of the podium. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Padmaja. I'm from Fremont, and I'm from Kona organization. Thank you so much for hearing us today. I'm here to tell you that this SB 403, though it is to protect people from the caste-based discrimination, California laws are already protecting any caste-based discrimination, though there were no recorded caste discrimination cases. So this bill is totally unnecessary. This language, for example, Commissioner Boren read that it is a perceived concept. That means even though I say I don't have a caste, you can perceive that you have a caste. You discriminated me. So any of you can tell me that I discriminated you because you perceive that I have a caste. Though I keep telling you that I don't have a caste. It really offenses, ma'am, I just 10 more seconds.
Finish your sentence.
Caste word is as offensive as N-word to me. You need to understand our feelings, and we request you to send your recommendation to the governor and to the CRD not to harass us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sandeep Apnat, Muni Cupertino, Sashi.
I'm giving my time to Sandeep. I'm Krish, give my time to Sandeep.
You want to yield your time?
Yeah. Before the timer starts, I want to check if this is working.
It is.
Okay. Honorable Commissioners, I am Sandeep Dedge. I represent Apna DB, the largest 501c3 of marginalized people of origin of Indian subcontinent. We are headquartered in the same very county, and we are thousands of us. We are the very people with a lived experience, and we are the very people that Senator Wahab and the sponsor of the bill claim to represent, but they do not. This bill is about us, but without us. And we strongly oppose the bill violating our human rights. We also oppose this bill for butchering our cultural existence. And I want to object to, whatever the comment was going on, like you don't have any authority to do. I think you not only have authority, but obligation to ask the governor to veto this inhuman bill. On 30th of May 2021, 2 years back, I was right in front of you virtually, and you had made an honorable decision not to yield to the heinous propaganda of hate in the name of caste. In fact, on 5th July 2023, California's Judiciary Assembly converted this bill from the Bill of Caste to Bill of Ancestry. So no, it is not a Bill of Caste. Unfortunately, they fell short. They fell short because the word caste still remains under the ancestry. Because this word still remains, the bill is still going to butcher the marginalized people for our cultural existence. And the groups which are anti-Dalit group, anti-human rights group are going to try to do that. These are really like wolves guarding the hen house. And this bill really has erased the identities of our sages and saints like Sant Ravidas Ji in the name of caste in the textbooks. They have caused the community-wide trauma in this beautiful state, in this beautiful county. And we must request you to please ask Governor to veto the bill. Being someone from marginalized community requires lived experience, and this is not something you play as a social activism toolkit or a weapon. I also want to point out the proponents of the bill use the call to authority in the name of actually in place of data. They keep lying. And I also, last point I want to make, and then I'll shut up, which is the Professor Ajanta Subramaniam and some of the other professors have written to you about this bill on the 13th May 2021. These people came as independent.
Let's respect the time for everybody else to speak. Equal time.
They came to you and they asked.
You're taking other people's time, and that's not fair for everybody else.
1 minute of my time. Can I give
You can't. The time has been.
That's okay. My request is to please ask the Governor to veto the bill. Thank you.
Good evening, members of Santa Clara County Human Rights Commission. My name is Muni Madhipatla, a longtime resident of Cupertino. I'm here representing my family of 4. Senate Bill SB 403 is built on false narratives and questionable data. The survey data submitted by the proponents of this bill was dismissed by judges in the Cisco case. And also the Cisco case against plaintiffs by CRD was withdrawn as well. Santa Clara County is home to the largest Indian American population. As per Santa Clara District Attorney Jeff Rosen, there is not a single case of caste discrimination. Nothing. That's because Indian Americans living here don't know what caste is and don't care. Jeff Rosen questions the need for SB 403 given the lack of supporting data and potential harm it may cause to the Indian Americans. SB 403 is dangerous, discriminatory, and stereotyping bill targeting law-abiding Indian Americans. Please oppose this bill and ask the Governor to veto it. Thank you for your time.
Are you Sashi?
Yes.
Okay. Next, can I get GIRUH, Jiru, and Param, Desai, and Maggie? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Sashi Begor. I'm a resident of Cupertino, a longtime resident of the Santa Clara County. I am a proud Sanatani, and this is the way of life for us, and this is what is commonly called the Hindu religion. Having said that, I think religion is something that is personal, and thanks to SB 403, I am now forced to come out here and have my right to have the privacy of religion violated. Since you discussed the caste issue back in 2021, there have been 0 cases filed for caste. Okay, so I would request you to please send a letter as a commission to the governor to request that he oppose SB 403. I and most people who are against SB 403 are against all discrimination. Nobody here wants to discriminate. But here's why I'm asking you to please do this for us. Current law covers caste. Is that it? Okay, so just one last sentence. Clearly, this bill becomes law. If this bill becomes law, it will be state-sponsored hate towards a micro-minority.
Thank you.
Respected Commissioners of Santa Clara HRC, I strongly oppose the bill SB 403 since it is a useless and a meaningless bill with no clarity. To justify that, the bill introducer has modified this bill several times. So,
may I interrupt, because you allotted your time to the other speaker? Yes. Is that correct?
Yes.
No, he just came on.
He did.
just came on.
But he allotted his time to the gentleman with the suit.
Oh, there is someone
No,
else.
that's not him.
That's not him? Okay. I pardon. You can start the time again if you'd like.
Okay. So City of Cupertino has issued a proclamation on the Hindu phobia, and same time the majority of the commissioners acknowledge that they reject this SB 403, and same time it's not only including the word caste in any of the bills, but any future bills they don't want to include, the word has to be included. So they've come up with the stand on from the City of Cupertino. All the data and the accusations by the proposers of this bill have been concocted with no evidence. If you take example like a Cisco case, which has been rejected by the Superior Court, and also the Babs case, artisans and the craftsmen accepted that they have been promised green card, and then some of them are forced to testify like that. So I urge you to reject this bill and then send a letter to Governor saying that veto this bill. Thank you.
I have 2 minutes because I'm taking up his time.
Well, I don't know who that person is, if their name.
Through the chair, as a point of clarification.
Yes, thank you.
The way we manage public comment does not permit members to yield time to others.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just do 1 minute.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you, Honorable Council, for listening to us. My name is Param Desai, longtime resident of Santa Clara. Let me tell you, this bill is basically trying to protect Peter and harm Paul, and this is what this bill is. The caste definition is perceived social status. I came here in a beat-up car, and you may perceive that I'm a poor person, and that's fine. Right? You have your right to perceive me as a poor person, but why does the state and the law have to take that position? Right? So you cannot create laws based on perception. And if the legislator of this state creates laws based on this perception and states that they are okay to create unconstitutional laws, and we have to go and challenge these laws in the court of law, that is not why we elect the legislator, right? So please urge the governor to veto this bill, because we look up to you, we respect you, and you represent us and our human rights. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Good evening. My name is Maggie. I just have one thing to say. SB 403, if you look at the language, the way it is defined, let's take a realistic look at it. Everybody here, we have a race, we have a gender, we have a nationality, we have an ethnicity. How many of us here have caste? SB 403, by default, because I'm a South Asian, it says I have a caste. You cannot tell my caste by looking at me. So caste is not a neutral, facially neutral attribute, so you cannot legislate something that is not facially neutral, number one. So what are you going to do to me? Are you going to make me wear my caste on my sleeve? When that happened a few years, decades ago in history, we all know what happened in the world. Is that what SB 403 is trying to do to us? So that is my question. You commissioners, you can do something. This is the question we want to ask Governor Newsom. Are you going to make us wear our caste on the sleeve and take America 100 years back into the civil rights movement? Thank you very much.
Shyam, Vinod, and Gaurang Desai.
Are we allowing time or not?
Hi, my name is Shyam Chaudhary. I've been a resident of San Jose for the last 34 years. In my 34 years, nobody has asked me what is my caste, nor I have asked anybody about their caste. But now that this bill is passed, I have to not only know what caste is and what I have in India. Basically, that is where it is coming from. I have to tell my kids as to what baggage you are carrying from because of me. So I'm just asking you, this baggage that being given to us is not fair. My son-in-law works in Santa Clara County in the jail as a psychiatrist just a week back, when he entered his workplace, just his supervisor said, among all people, "Hi, Alok, what is your caste?" And he was surprised at what is this, where is this coming from? So people are just giving us this badge of caste. So please do something about this. You are the commissioner. You can do things and you can protect my human rights.
Thank
please.
you.
Thank you for giving opportunity, commissioners, and I appreciate that. My name is Vinod Rai. I have been here in this country for 53 years, and nobody has asked me ever about caste. But this whole thing came to us only because there is a hate group called Equality Lab, which is pushing this, and they are saying that there is a caste violation. Now everybody knows about caste. So one thing I'm shocked, like what Sandeep said, that you guys are on the Human Rights Commission. Why can't you listen to us? And then we are all voiceless. We have already written so many things, nobody has listened to us. Even the assemblywoman we talked to, she listened to us very nicely, but when it came time to vote, she voted against us. So we talked to her and said, oh, the reason I voted because the other person, like Indian guy, he from your community, he says it's a good bill, let's vote for it. Why we cannot use that common sense here, So please take care of our human right and address whatever you think is right, whatever you know. Everybody is intelligent here. Even we have so many intelligent people, and we cannot make this decision. Thank you.
Are you going?
Yes.
Okay. Next, I'll call up Kaushal, Dakshata, and Mazavika.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Gaurang Desai. One of the key problems that I see with SB 403 is lack of definition, as in how do you determine a caste? Arthur Wahab and Equality Labs founder Tani Mozi have been on the record saying that one of the category would be used is your last name or surname. And their proposals is that surnames like Iyer, Patel, Shah, Joshi would be considered upper caste. So let me explain this with an example. My son's name is Rajesh Patel, who marries a woman, Sonia Smith. So, and she adopts my son's surname. Sonia Smith, who was a good, innocent woman until marriage, would automatically become upper caste oppressor Sonia Patel. Conversely, my daughter, Sonia Patel, marries a white man, Steve Smith. She'll be labeled as oppressor until she gets married, and once she's married, she becomes, good, because she's not Patel anymore. So the key problem I see is that how the determination happens, and the other problem is that this is used as money-making objective. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Commissioners. I am Kaushal Varshney. I live in Santa Clara for more than 25 years. And my problem with this bill is that this is not a facially neutral bill. All the bills, all the laws should be facially neutral. That means it should be uniformly applicable to each and every citizen of the state. And currently this bill is not. So that means this bill itself in this form is discriminatory, and it is violating my human rights, because it is forcing me to wear a caste badge. Or if not, anybody can perceive my caste whatever they want. So that means this is violating my human rights, because all of us, all the state citizens, they have something called ethnicity, nationality, or their color, but caste is applicable only to brown people from South Asia. That itself is a huge discrimination and huge human right violation. I urge commissioners to advise governor to veto this bill. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Dakshata. I have been Santa Clara County resident for last 20 years. I am against all forms of discrimination, including caste discrimination. The question then is not whether we deal with it, but how. While SB 403 may be well-intended, it has very concerning unintended consequences. In a way, a California law will discriminate against South Asians by portraying us as a nuisance and a liability to employers and landlords, therefore denying us as a member of ethnic community our basic civil rights. It's also unconstitutional, violating Amendment 14th. The existing laws do protect all people without singling out any one race or ethnicity. Extensive case law does exist for addressing intra-community discrimination under broad facially neutral categories. Therefore, SB 403 is unnecessary, and I'll request you all to please ask Governor to veto it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ayumazavika?
I'm Malvika. My name is Vamsi. She's listed down there. Can I yield my time to her?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
Ayumazavika?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'll call Mohan, Vamsi, and Suresh.
Honorable Chair, today I urgently raise the matter of utmost concern, the alarming misuse of power by Senator Wahab against Hindu community. It is a distressing tale of state machinery deployed in collusion with influential lobbyists, and it demands our immediate attention. The SB 403 bill, ostensibly created to address caste oppression, has instead become a tool to oppress and persecute Hindus. The driving force behind this bill, Equality Labs, has brazenly spread Hindu phobia, labeling us as Nazis and maligning our sacred scriptures as sources of violence and hatred. Moreover, Equality Labs has openly called to disrupt every single space where Hindu nationalists come into play. In conclusion, I invoke the wisdom of Mahatma Gandhi. An unjust law in itself a species of violence. I earnestly request the Honorable Chair to pass a resolution or a motion calling out Hindu phobia, which is being peddled in the name of SB 403, and to support us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
You can sit, just stand in the middle of the,
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Great, excellent. Namaste, my name is Mohan Gumalam. I've been a resident of California as well as Santa Clara County for over 27 years. A lot of people have spoken about different reasons why SB 403 is bad. Let me quote another reason. So one of the things that SB 403 is based on is fabricated data. And the data that was presented to ACLU and many other organizations was fabricated. This data was used in the court case against Cisco employees, and the court and the judge threw out this data. So all we are requesting is that if we want to pass a discrimination law against a community, let's at least base it on three things. First, let's do a good research on the data. We have requested this over and over again. That hasn't happened. Second, do not use the word caste, do not use the word hierarchy, and it is based on perceived discrimination. That is a huge problem. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vamsi, and SB 403, though it may masquerade as a champion of civil rights, is nothing but deeply unconstitutional and outright discriminatory piece of legislation. This bill shamelessly singles out individuals of South Asian origin, unfairly branding them as suspects without evidence. Our human rights as constituents are under threat. It's not just discriminate, it perpetuates harmful stereotypes and stigmatizes Hindus. It adds fuel to the fire of existing Hindu phobia. And we cannot and will not stand for this such injustice, and we request everyone to veto to Governor to take this out. Thanks.
Thank you. Are you Suresh?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll also call up Sailaja, Sujata, Rucha. Thank you.
Good evening all. My name is Suresh. I'm here to say no to SB 403 because SB 403 tries to create a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. It will unfortunately become a self-fulfilling prophecy in dividing the people who are otherwise very peace-loving and contribute to peace and prosperity in our neighborhoods across the Santa Clara County. So in this opportunity, I would like to request all of you to request the Governor to veto the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sailaja. Good evening, everyone. I'm Santa Clara resident, and I'm here to say no to SB 403. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Sujata. First of all, I want to thank Santa Clara HRC that had stood up in May of 2021 against the caste propaganda. Existing laws already cover all kinds of discrimination. Adding word caste, you're targeting Hindu Americans. You're violating our human rights. Our kids are already getting bullied in the school because of the word caste mentioned in the textbook. If this becomes a law, our kids will get bullied more. I request HRC to ask Governor to veto it. I request you to say no to discrimination against Indian Americans. Say no to racial profiling of our community. Please send your recommendation to Governor to veto it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'll call up Krutik Purjara, Sashi, and Jaresh.
Hi. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us. First and foremost, I want to say that it's not too late for you guys to take an action. It's still 3-4 days. Governor has not signed it yet. I know a couple of commissioners tried to influence to have you guys take a stand, but they were brushed off. But I would really urge you guys to take an action. Maybe the governor is looking for some non-partisan input, and Human Rights Commission might be the perfect thing for that. So as human rights commissioners, you guys have seen a lot of human rights bill, and this, on the surface of it, definitely looks like clearly like that's something like that. But it's a Trojan bill, because underlying that, it's profiling Hindus and it's targeting Indians and Hindus very prominently. If you look around, can you tell anyone of our castes? Let me tell you, neither can I. Nobody can tell anyone's caste, and hence it's profiling us. So please stop this profiling. Say no to SB 403. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a clarification, because you mentioned that of not having time. As a commission, we can't make a statement without it going to the Board of Supervisors, and the supervisors make that statement. So we can make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, but we as a commission can't make a independent
decision
ruling, as it were. So, so when we say we can't do anything, that's when we talked about that timing earlier of when the next board meets and the limitations of the governor's signing that document. That's where that comes in. So, just for a clarification. And Mary can correct me if I'm wrong, but.
That's generally correct, Commissioner Franzen, that you all are an advisory commission to the Board of Supervisors, so you can make recommendations to the board. If the board had already taken a position, which the board has not, then you could take a comparable position in your own words, but they have not. Here.
Hello, my name is Krutik and I am here to request HRC to oppose SB 403. This bill, SB 403, will further break the society and do no good to bring people together. I strongly believe that this bill will further add Hinduphobia to the society. There are laws in place already for any discrimination against anyone. SB 403 seems to me to be misguided and utterly unnecessary. The emphasis on caste seems pointless. It's as if we are hunting for a problem that doesn't exist, and this could potentially amplify hate crime against South Asian. Sacramento must stop this pattern for action's sake and start to tackle the pressing issues that have plagued us many counts. Thank you in advance. I know you will be on the right side of history on a very important topic. Please reject SB 403. Please stop Asian hate crimes and prejudices. We will continue Milinji Makwana's fight. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we have Sashi or Jaresh, G-I-R-E-S-H? They already did? Okay, there again. There's another, Muni? Another Muni? You already spoke? Okay, there's another. Lakshmi? Atul? And Smita? Smita Thakur?
Honorable board members, my name is Lakshmi and I've been a resident of San Jose for the last 10 years and I strongly oppose SB 403. Unlike race, religion, or ethnicity, or even gender, caste is not a well-defined concept. As someone has mentioned, it can change with marriage. What do we tell a second-generation American kid of South Asian descent who has been born and raised here? What is their caste? SB 403 has the potential to slander an entire faith, and it has the potential to drag personal matters such as marriage, religious rituals, and dietary preferences into the public realm. And this goes against my First Amendment rights. And progressives do not even care about caste. In my 20 years of living in the United States, I have not witnessed caste being discussed in the social, religious, or professional sphere. So please oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, council members. I'm Smita Thakur. I'm a long-time resident of Santa Clara. I strongly oppose this bill as it violates my civil rights and subjects me to be racially profiled, singled out, and humiliated for being a practicing American Hindu. It raises suspicion in the mind of others of me being discriminatory and questioning my credibility and values just because of my faith. You can ask the two engineers who were wrongly accused in the Cisco case and suffered through courts for 3 years while the California CRD Civics Right Department lied, ignored facts, and pursued a witch hunt against them. This bill is flawed due to several reasons, not facially neutral, zero evidence. The foundation of the bill was the Equality Labs report, which is also flawed, and the group has openly made anti-Hindu and Hindu hateful comments against the community. You can read more on the disinfolab.org on their connections to other dangerous elements. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you speak already?
No. My name is Atul Shah, and I'm going to give her my time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, you cannot yield your time.
No.
You cannot.
They both spoke. You already spoke at both of them.
You can, sorry, public comment is, he could speak, yes. He hasn't spoken.
He or me? Him. Atul.
Okay, my name is Atul Shah, and I've been living in this country almost like 34 years. And my daughter is 16 years old. She does not even know what caste she is. And this law is telling her that we're caste, and she also would like to know about other people's caste too. So please urge the governor to veto this caste.
Thank you. We will close public comment on item 8. Is there any discussion from the commissioners? Commissioner Chaikin, then
Yes,
Commissioner Donnie.
Yeah, I wanted to thank everyone, members of the public, who came, and voiced their concern about the bill. You did the right thing to come here. I personally believe when this issue first came to the Human Rights Commission, I did believe that it was a particular focus against the Hindu religion. And that's the way we did a committee, to dive into it. And we then had people from who had differing views to express those views. I'm also in agreement that in the legislation, the things that are mentioned in caste are already protected with the definition of ancestry. So in fact, on the comments of the regarding the Bill 403 and the latest comments in the Senate, and it's a Senate bill analysis, it's the final comment on the bill. It says specifically, and I encourage you to read it. It's only it's a 6-page document, but it summarizes very well what they're trying to do in the legislation. And it says, these changes are intended to provide additional clarity to businesses, employers, and schools about what forms of discrimination are prohibited. while it may seem clear to some that caste is already protected, the reports of caste-based discrimination in the state suggest that employers and other entities are not adequately protecting against this form of discrimination in the absence of a specific statutory reference to caste. So they're already admitting that it's clear that you don't need to define caste. It's already protected under the definition of ancestry, and I agree with that. But on the other hand, they struggled with the fact that in the ancestry law that's on the bill, state laws prohibiting discrimination defines ancestry, which is already a protected category, to include lineal descent, heritage, parentage, caste, or any inherited social status. So they have caste under the definition of ancestry, but there's no official definition of caste, and I think that's what they were struggling with. So they say in the final bill, the bill's definition of caste establishes a neutral approach to the nature of caste-based discrimination. Caste includes anyone's perceived position in a caste system, thereby prohibiting discrimination regardless of whether the position is considered a high position or a low position in the hierarchy. So I agree 100%. You don't need, you can have the definition they used for caste, you could put it in and clarify the definition of ancestry, and it would cover everything. So I do agree and that there's no need to put the word caste in there. You can add to the definition under ancestry, and it would be covered. So the fact is, though, that's what the Senate. And I will say this: when this legislation first went up, or proposed or first came to the Human Rights Commission, again, I said, I think it was very negative against one religion. It was, and there was a lot of that in it. And in this final work that's being passed, and I understand as offensive because it has caste in there, they really tried to take care of some of the evils of the original propositions. So anyway, my view is I recognize that. Caste, when you look at caste in materials, you often think, especially in schools, of the Hindu religion, and it is a way of signaling out the Hindu religion. It's not necessary to put it in the legislation. There's other ways, but I think that this was some kind of compromise situation to all the forces that be. So anyway, what you've said is understood. It's meaningful. It's valid. And all I can say right now is that, and I think from the Deputy Counsel's point, the Board of Supervisors hasn't taken an opinion on this. So something, if we said to the effect, hey, the bill's fine, we don't like discrimination, the definition, all we're asking is to remove the word caste, is that a recommendation we could make? Say, hey, everything, just take out the word caste, put in the definition of caste as one of the protected statuses, which is an amplification of the definition of discrimination by ancestry. You don't need the word caste, and it would produce the same result. I don't know if that's something that we can recommend or not.
Can I ask a follow-up question through the chair? How do I? The bill is done. It's on the governor's desk. Well, we don't have a say in what the bill says. Mm-hmm. Certainly, the only thing that we have a say in is what we report to the people who appointed us to this commission, and that's the Board of Supervisors. That's it. Okay. So to answer your question, Commissioner Chaikin, we don't have the authority to recommend that anything be changed in the bill, certainly, right? So, I mean, this is when, of course this is a frustration of us right now as a commission, because, because if we would have seen this maybe earlier, we could have gotten in front of, made a recommendation to the board could have approved a recommendation, we could make that. But at this point, I don't see a way forward.
Commissioner Dani, then Commissioner Patak.
So to what Robert Chaikin said, the commissioner, I agree with him, because we are appointed by supervisors for a reason. We have moral responsibility to share our viewpoint of what we think of this bill. And like he said, if we as a commission decide that we can make a recommendation to supervisors, where then they can take it further with the governor by writing the letter or taking some public stand, is up to them. But as a commission, it is our moral responsibility, because it is we are selected by them, right? We are appointed by them. So it is definitely our moral responsibility to do the right thing and make right recommendations. What happens after that? It is not in our hand. But what is in our hand, it's something that we must do.
Yes, Commissioner Pathak.
First of all, I would like to say all the speaker, people voice, that is the most important, valuable, the thing, voice. Not only County of Santa Clara, United States of America's Congress, Senate, even State of California, Senate, Assembly member, people voice, that is the most important thing. I would like to say thank you very much for your voice bringing 4013. That is a remarkable voice. I review just this bill, and state Senate pass. Only one Senate absent. And for my understanding, State of California rules, regulation, Constitution of the State of California, each legislative, state senator and assembly member, they represent the area, the district. And before any bill enter in the Senate and assembly member, each assembly member and each senator support or not support. They ask district all the members, all the community members, they are what they want about this bill. We are going to support, yes or no. They ask the input from the community. In this report, 403 bill, we can see in this bill report, each state senator and state, all the assembly member, own district, 4-page. And I believe, I think 47 different support group they support. One opposite side, the only more than 20,000 all the different group they not support about this bill. So now the bill is on the governor on hand, and the time is very most important. Human Relation Commission have the only authority. We have to submit the report to the Board of Supervisor, not the government, not the governor. We are responsible to submit the report about this bill to the Board of Supervisor. If the Board of Supervisor wants to submit the report to the governor, them. So I would like to request all my fellow commissioners, whatever the things happen, and if we have find out the legal counsel, please, we have to consult to the attorneys, county attorney and county council.
I'm not sure I understood your ask of county council.
Because if any kind of the issue we ask to the county council, And in the past, when we have the death penalty issue and caste discrimination issue, we ask about legal counsel, about the county council. Because we are not expert. What is the positive, what is the negative? Thank you very much.
Commissioner Dani?
So, because I heard CRD and one of the fellow resident of Santa Clara County who was sued by the California Civil Rights Department had sent me an email, and I really feel appropriate to read his message out for all of us to hear. So,
It's already on the agenda. It's already in the record.
It's already in the record.
you all received the
It's in the
letter?
We all have, it's all public record, so everyone has
As
access
far as
to
you
it.
have all received the letter, I'm happy about it.
Yes.
Then I can give my thoughts about what I just heard from the community here. First of all, I really appreciate the community coming here and talking to the Human Rights Commissioner. That is what we are here for, to hear from the community and make the recommendations to the supervisors. So thank you to all of you. I personally oppose discrimination, like many of you said here, of any sort. And I strongly believe that in our existing system, like even Robert Chaikin said, the commissioner, that the current categories like ancestry is already in place, and it can already address the issue of discrimination. What I heard from the community today, the key words are violating human rights, vagueness of the words, violating the individual's right to practice their religion or way of living, forcing the religion on them, asking them to wear their religion on their sleeve. The word caste facially not being neutral, hence cannot be legislated. Caste is not defined anywhere. These are the problems that I heard from the community. And when I saw this on the agenda, and my personal research on this issue is very much similar to what I heard from the community here today, commissioners. The vagueness of the language in the bill, the way it started and the way it is here today, it's very disturbing, it's very confusing. For-profit organization Equality Labs, which is backing, and the unscientific data that is being used as the reference data by the senator to propose this bill is also something which is very concerning. Zero reports claiming that they were discriminated on the basis of caste. We have no reports, no data to back up, which is very concerning, and I'm surprised that no elected official till today asked for any of such data. You were elected for a reason, and you did not ask for this data. I have been reached out by many local non-profit organizations by the community members and the organizations 501c3 like Apna DB, which stands for the marginalized community. I heard they also lost one of their own leader, their community leader, Milind Makwana, and some of them mentioned his name. So looking at how the bill was introduced and the bill is here today, all of this and the data that is used is very disturbing. As the commissioners, we definitely have some moral responsibility. To me, state officials who are elected to serve everyone should be taking the right side. They cannot take the side of the organizations which are out there for profit, money-making business. And that is what Equality Labs has been doing. It is our moral responsibility, as I have said earlier, as a Santa Clara resident, as a California resident, and as a Human Rights Commissioner to take the right decision and to reject any bill that divides the community. It is one Indian Hindu community today. Tomorrow it can be any other community. It is our duty, our responsibility to do the right thing and to declare or to reject any such thought which further divides the community. That is what I will do as a Human Rights Commissioner, as a Santa Clara resident and a California resident. I will write to the governor, I will write to the supervisor, I will do my moral responsibility to make sure that this bill is not passed because it only divides the community. That is what I have heard from them, and that is what my research also says, and I will request all of the commissioners to do the right thing as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Dani. And we can all take our own action as individual citizens. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But as a commission, we cannot.
There is one hand raised in the community. I don't know what to.
But we cannot take any. The public comment time has passed.
Because Honorable Commissioner asked us to read the 6-page letter, I just want to respond to that for 10 seconds.
That we would be out of order. So we are in discussion with. We are in discussion.
Which question? Sorry. Who asked to read what?
You cannot engage with the public, if I may, if that's correct. We don't want to be out of order. We want to be thorough.
In the public session, I may be wrong on this, are you able to ask a clarifying question or no?
No.
No, okay, thank you.
We have written 35 pages of rebuttal to this analysis.
Any other discussion? Any motions or discussion? Okay, we will move on to the next item.
I would like to say, Justin, he mentioned about this bill, about statistical, all the inputs related to the human rights, and I would like to say thank you very much, Justin.
Yes, thank you very much.
I got something I want to say. Is this on?
Yes.
Thank you for coming out tonight. I, as an African American, my community for hundreds of years have fought very similar fights like you're here talking about tonight. The right to be human and the right to be called what we want to be called. Nobody else has that right. You have that right. And I'm glad that you're standing up and you're protesting it, because it's going to get printed in them textbooks. And I have worked with children in diversity training, and it's amazing how many people come to this country know what derogatory names to call other groups and other people, and they do. And those names hurt. They're demeaning, they're degrading. They make you less than what God has created you to be. And no, you don't give anybody else that permission, and none of us have the right. So I'm glad to see you standing up for your human rights, what you want to be called. And you need to tell us what names and how you want to be called, how you want to raise your children, and what you want your children to know about who they are and where they come from. Nobody else has that right to say that about you, or about me, or any other ethnicity that has come to America because of American values. So thank you for keeping our feet to the fire on this issue. You're small in number like many other groups have. But if you don't speak up and walk the walk and talk the talk, nobody else is going to do it for you.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. Yes, again, thank you all for sharing your perspective and sharing your voice and uplifting your voice and sharing the information with all of us. We greatly appreciate your time and your effort and for being here. It takes time and commitment to be able to make change. Thank you again, and I open it up to my commission if there's a final motion. If not, we will move on to the next item. Okay. Thank you. I will turn the gavel over to our Vice Chair for the election of officers for fiscal year 23-24.
Thank you very much. As we go into this, I come in with the point of personal privilege to say I have enjoyed being in the leadership of this commission for a while, and now that I am moving off, I thank you all for that time. We have a slate that is being put forward.